Right, hello. Really wanted to do this video for a long time. I was going to do it right off the back of the Ravensburg, Germany, 400, 500, however many people event it was, but the community kind of got in a bit, not, I don't know if an uproar, but just a bit of a distraction, and with the announcements that were coming out with rotations and worlds seem to be taking a bit more of a front and center. So I hold off for a little bit, but now I kind of just want to do it. So yeah, I'm just going to get my thoughts out about the two game format. And the reason why I wanted to do the video straight after the Ravensburg event was it was the two game format that we used there. And yeah, I hope none of this comes across as just me sat here complaining and whining about anything, because that's not really the point of it. I'm not really one to put content out where I'm just going to whine and complain. And I hope that's sort of shown in the past for stuff I've done on like the hiring ban and things like that. Well, this is if I've got a complaint, I or like an actual personal issue, I tend to just not say anything on it because that's mine to deal with. But if I generally think that the game could be improved, the game could be changed, could be made better, and just a better experience for everyone, then I definitely want to put a voice to that. So yeah, all of this comes from really a place of love. Like I love Lorcana. I only want the best for it. Like the game has done so much for me, and as well, like just in general, yeah. I think most people as well when we hear about the changes of rotations, and of course people not getting invites to Worlds being a closed event. The uproar wasn't a massive, you know, uh, oh, this is terrible. This game isn't good. The uproar was, oh no, we wanted this to be better for us. We wanted better things, and I'm pretty sure as well Ravensburger wanted better things for themselves as well, and to give everyone in the community the best experience they could. Um, so yeah, I feel the exact same way. My opinions on two game format have never been very positive. I don't enjoy the format. I think it feels, for me, it's the personal experience of the format, and that's what I kind of want to get across rather than just complaining and saying, oh, I just really like best of three. The personal experience of the format just feels like a lot of people come away disappointed. And with a best of three or a best of one, you get definitive winners, and I think that's a big part of it. But for me, I'm just going to list off a couple of the positives because, again, like this isn't just me complaining about something that I don't really like doing, which is playing two game format. The positives, of course, I think it's better for time restraints. You can get two games done quite fairly quickly. It's easier for judging, it's easier for casting to watch these games back. For casting, they pretty much get a very good show of, on the play, on the draw, and you can talk through like the different lines people have to make when they're on the play and on the draw. Um, and by the way, in the background, there's just the melee report of the event in Germany with everyone's scores, just to have something on in the background. But yeah, the positives. I'm going to back to the positives. Just wanted to say that because I realized I didn't explain what was on my screen. The positives, yeah, it's easier for casting, it's easier for judging, and I've heard that firsthand from casters and judges. A lot of them speak quite highly of it being just an easier format to manage those two things, those two roles in the community in the like community and in the event. I think as well, when you do have people aren't really opting to play these decks that can play and just win on the play as much because you could win die rolls all day and come first. So there's loads of different things I think that are positives for it. I think mainly the time restraint ones. And actually, to be honest with you, after you play a two game format, for me personally, I always feel that on the play on the draw, issues that people talk about never feel as big. I feel like you should be able to learn how to win on the draw. You have to play a bit differently. You have to mulligan a bit differently, and it is a bit more of an uphill battle to win on the draw. But I think it is still something that's very, very doable in the game. And for me, I always do walk away with from two game format events highlighted that, oh yeah, winning on the draw is very much a doable thing. And if you lose 0-2, then you know that this matchup's really bad for you or whatever. You need to go practice it. So yeah, I think for time restraints, keeping the events running smoother, especially during the height of like Ruby Sapphire and these control decks, like I think it was very good. For them to be using two game format, like I've seen people even go to time into game format, which for me is just a bit bonkers that you can get to that point, but that happens. So yeah, I think managing an event, it's all very good and very useful. The negatives. So for me personally, as an experience, I just don't enjoy it. I find that I've been around playing TCGs for quite a lot of my life, pretty much when I was younger, like they weren't as big a thing, but I was always playing them in the school grounds and stuff like that. I've always been a part of online different TCGs and playing them locally in stores. And two game format, of course, when it was announced, like we have a report from Lorcana Player back way back then when the first DLCs were announced, stating the format, and I had no real issues with it then. I didn't really understand it like most people. I didn't understand what could become of it because I probably could 2-0 quite a lot of matchups is what you're thinking in your head. You think I'm a decent enough player. I'm pretty sure I can do that. And then we played Lille, and yeah, it was just the way that the format works is you have three outcomes to a game. You can win 2-0, you can split and go 1-1, or you can lose 0-2. And out of those three outcomes, two of them feel quite bad. So an 0-2 feels horrible. It feels like that the rest of your day, losing two games, sorry, so going 0-2, feels like the rest of your day you're gonna have to have an uphill battle because you need to get more 2-0s to make the day two. Getting a 1-1 um, also doesn't feel great because it doesn't feel like you've achieved a win, which you need to get the points to get to the day two. It also just feels like all you've really done is cushion your loss by claiming 3 points rather than claiming no points. Um, and then getting a 2-0 feels great, but the same way, in my opinion, a 2-0 feels great in best of three. So for me, like, there's two outcomes there that feel quite horrible, and there's one outcome that can be achieved in other formats anyway. And the actual playing of it just feels like the way I've tried to describe it to people, and some haven't really understood or grasped onto it, is it feels like I'm sitting an exam to see if I can reach day two, rather than day one just being its own separate, event of the games. And people will tell you experiences where they'll go to an event and they'll win a best of three. They might win like at 2-1, and it might be like very fortunate on their last game, but they get to walk away with a win, and they get to say like if they played against someone like Zan or Kendall or Artifacts, and they get to go and tell their friends, and they get to have this nice memory of this game when they played against someone and got this definitive winner. Of course, they could 2-0 them in two-game format, but that's always not going to happen. And sometimes as well, it's just like they could play against one of their friends, one of their locals they travelled with, and they have this experience where they get to win a game completely. And for me, that's just entirely it. Like, we dated the Germany event, but our DLC run was not as fortunate. With many of those events coming down to just getting one more 2-0 would have made us into the day two cut, which was just so it just felt like you have this experience of not playing badly all day, but because you didn't 2-0 the deck like an amber deck that has three daisies in it on turn two, you feel like, oh, I didn't get to day two because of that, and that's also something they've implemented and designed into the game. And that was one of my days. I'm not saying that happens every time. Sometimes you do just get beat on skill, and both players are good enough to win on the play. But one of my DLC events, yeah, it was just that. It was like we managed to get one of the wins in the next game, just triple daisy out, and race to get a split, giving both players a knockout chance of making day two. It does put you in the Let It Go range to get the Let It Go promo, but that's fine. But day two is really what everyone's playing for. Um, so yeah, it just overall to me it feels like most outcomes from the event are very underwhelming. It's also for me personally when I like to play with very definitive answers. I know that when you do Pokemon regionals, you can lose three times and then you're out of the running. With this event, you get an O2 and you're not out, but you have to win another 2-0 on top of that. You can split for so long until you win, and then you also need to be looking at what the people at the top brackets are doing, because if they're not taking their 2-0s and they're starting to split, it starts changing the numbers around, and it's just this horrible thing where like I've had loads of events where I'm sat there and people are on like calculators trying to figure out how many more 2-0s they need to get, what they need to do to achieve the day two, rather than just playing the game. And it's just like ridiculous. There's also that as well when they're going into an event and they're looking at the player cap. Of course, most of the regionals had around 2,000 or 1,000 players, and it was very clear because people had done the maths the night before and they posted you needed this score to make day two. But in some of these events where there were store champs, like we did a store champs with a very small amount of players, and I got 1-2-0 and then three splits, and I didn't top four, top eight, or whatever I needed to achieve. And it was like, this is just a horrible experience. I haven't done bad today, I just haven't managed to lock in another win on the play. So overall, it's just, and you're also having to game it because again, each between each round, it's not very uh, uh like definitive of, oh, you can only lose this many times before you can't make day two. It's this constant like, well, I mean, even going into this event, I had I think 3 wins, or no, but after the break, I took a loss. Then I got 2 more wins again. I thought I was definitely out for the running, but someone had done the maths better than the person who had originally told the maths and said you just need to get another 2-0 or another 1-1, and it was just horrible experience because it's this. I didn't even know I had a chance to make the day two because figure out the maths of. I think it was 466 in the end for this event. If I scroll to the top, it might tell me how many turned up? 465. I think it was 466. Um, maybe someone dropped, I don't know. But it's just that we're doing all this ridiculous stuff just to try and make this two-game format work when it doesn't work, and I'm having a very dull experience because, like I said, it feels like I'm sitting some sort of exam. It feels like I'm doing some sort of process to prove that I could play in the day two. And if I don't, I don't. But it also means that I haven't walked away of any games. It just means I felt like I failed an exam. Whereas in best of three, you can just play your games out, and at least you can walk away of, hey, I won some games, like I did Pokemon regionals, and would beat like people I knew in the community, and it was like, oh, at least I could walk away from this event knowing that I'd beat this person, and they were on a deck that they thought they were quite good with or whatever, and you could have those experiences and you could savor those experiences. I think you can also do those in best of one. I've recently started playing One Piece, and again, the One Piece is so balanced that on the play on the draw is very minimal. Your deck will have a preference if it wants to go first or wants to go second, but overall it does not affect the major game plan. Some decks really want to go second, but overall it evens out quite well the way that the when you go second, you get extra resources, you get to draw a card, and then when you go first, it evens out with the way that the resource management system works. And I think you could even do Lorcana, where you could just do, instead of doing these ridiculous best of two-game format things, you could just do best of ones. I've seen people suggest the idea where you do a best of one, and then you show each other what color pairing you have. So before, it's quite important to know what people's color pairing is because we get to use that information in the mulligan. And of course, in two-game format, sometimes you might hide that from the game one, so you could maybe steal a game if you're quite an aggressive deck and they're not thinking about it, or maybe you're a green deck that uses Diablo. So yeah, I think you would need that information, but in a best of one, of course, you would just have this thing where you could, before when you sit down, you go, hey, I'm playing Sapphire Steel, and they go, I'm playing Ruby Amethyst. Cool, let's play our best of one. Move on with your life after that, and maybe it would require we do double the rounds or another half on the round, so maybe it would go up to 15 rounds. But for me personally, as a player enjoying that experience, I would enjoy the experience of having a definitive answer after each round. And just because if I don't walk away with a 2-0, or my opponent 2-0s me and we get a 1-1, it does not feel like there was a very definitive answer on that round and who won. It just felt like it felt like drawing. It felt like tying. I think they originally maybe had the idea that tying would keep some people happy because both people get to win. But for me personally, playing it, I've never felt that experience at all. It's always felt like 2/3 of the time, depending on the results, I just don't enjoy the experience, and I'm having a very bad round. And as well, like a lot of the players noticed, especially at this event, once you had your 4 wins locked in, you can see a big spree of 405s here. Once you had your 4 wins locked in, you could just split and do you could split with your opponent, which is a thing in two-game format where you just say to your opponent, we both win a game. I think most of the time, I think at the Ravensburg event, they said as long as you roll a dice to see who wins game one and wins game two, because also that's really important in two-game format. And some tiebreaker thing like way down the line. At this event, you could rock up, you could win your first 4 rounds, and then just split, which is in a sense IDing, where both players don't play, they just decide to take they take the draw, and they both get their 3 points. So you could win 4 games, you could go 2-0, 4 up, and then you could split and end up making day two. And I'm not like calling out any of these players. Like definitely, like look how many 4 or 5 star. Like it's definitely a fine thing to do. Like it's in the rules. It's you use the rules to your best advantage. Um, they could play their 4 games, split for the final 5 games, draw, and play less rounds than anyone else has in a format in this format and make day two and also make top higher seeding. So that is just getting quite, ridiculous really for me. That it's I believe the format was also supposed to rule out people IDing and taking draws and kind of like the rule book. The way I've always seen it is very described, very um direct at sort of stopping people from taking draws and doing things like that. They want people to play the game. They want people to play the rounds. But sadly, in this format, you can get to a point where if you win enough games at the start, a good chunk of the people will just split and draw until the final um, few rounds. And for me, that just doesn't feel great either. That just feels quite ridiculous that that's the way that the format works. And yeah, I think that's enough I could say on that point. As well as like something else has just come to my head because this is basically just me announcing I'm unraveling my opinions on two game format so much is coming back. They have out of Top Cut pricing, which I think is awesome. I think it's an amazing, awesome idea. Like I haven't seen other regionals do that, and some of them are pretty good. Like you get tickets that, so if you're not going to make day two, you make a jump start on how many tickets you can get for your side event stuff. That's just like a tremendously good idea. Because a lot of people will be like a good, 90% of the room. I don't remember how much Top Cuts are. They're like 5% or 10% of the room. So 90% of the room will be playing the side events the next day. So saying, well, you did fairly good in the main event. Here's some tickets for it. So please go and enjoy that, and get a start on what you want to win, which prize you want of the prize wheel. And then of course they have the Let It Go promo, which again just an amazing idea. I think just more of that stuff's great. But that also meant that you had players who were playing for just those prizes and weren't playing for the day two, and that just meant that like so you're playing an event now with people who are playing for different pricing than you, and that just feels weird. Even that, just in general, just describe that to me, just feels weird. Everyone probably should be playing for day two. Everyone should probably be playing to like win the event. Of course, some people might just come down and they don't have the most confidence in themselves and they think, oh, I'm just playing it just to be a part of it, and that's great as well. But I'll admit I'd imagine most of these players still in their hearts are like, yeah, but if I could get day two, that would be amazing. And yeah, I've sometimes thought that as well, not just with Lorcana, like loads of games, like I don't feel the most confident, especially when I bring Sapphire Steel in the past few sets where it hasn't been the most meta viable choice. It's just been like, great, I'm just here, I'm just part of it. But of course, yeah, in my heart, like I'd like to be able to get to day two and do the best performance I can. So overall, yeah, there's just not really the format for me. I love Lorcana. I'll never stop playing Lorcana, so I'll always be a part of it. Yeah, you'll see me playing it. When I play it, I try not to complain about it too much because what's the point in that? I don't want to just be there at an event with people who might possibly be enjoying the format and just being negative to them. I don't really tweet about it too much, like besides the odd comment of I think it sucks. The same way that I see a lot of the other players who have their like even players who have worlds invites, people who got continentals, day two DLCs, every from the lowest player to the highest player, ranking wise, like I've seen everyone sort of there are people who don't enjoy this format. It's not just because oh we've been playing best of three for so long, I don't enjoy two game format. I just generally think as an experience it is not the best way to enjoy a regional. And yeah, I guess if you knew that once you've took like you have in best of three, once you've had your three losses, you are 100% out of the running for day two. But if they had this out of bracket pricing, like that would definitely keep me going. Like knowing if I got my three losses, but if I win out for today, I can get a Let It Go promo or whatever. Like that stuff would be just worth it for me. So I think definitely like I don't prefer the two game format. I'm hoping it doesn't sound like I'm just complaining about it. Just in general, as a actual experience, it has not been the best for me. And even so, like I say that the format is also I'm just keep trying to like end the video and then I'm like I've got another point to say. Like um they kind of want it to be that you keep playing the game and like you always have a shot, which, in two game format with the out of bracket pricing and just the way that it was structured, yeah, you can just keep playing and you play your whole 9 rounds out. And they did like mention some really good reports of like the amount of players that had dropped by round three was not like as high as they thought it would be. It was quite a low number, which in TCG terms is pretty hard to achieve because a lot of people once they know they're out, they're out. and by round three, that's a definitive turn where you can know if you're out. It's also the turn they hand out all the prizing, like the Dragonfires and stuff like that. But that's a different, separate thing. That's where scalpers just come and do some rounds and then leave. But yeah, like people start dropping, and they had a very low turnout for dropout. Me personally, I don't know how to describe this, but I'm a sort of player like if I'm out, I will drop, and then I'll be like, hey, I'm also in like a foreign city or like a city somewhere else. I'm gonna go explore that, or I'm gonna enjoy the side events, or I'm gonna go talk to players, or I'm gonna go watch my like friends and teammates do well. I'm just gonna enjoy the experience. Like I know I'm not going to be able to day two. I'm not going to be able to achieve anything, or maybe I could get some more prize tickets, or maybe get that Let It Go promo, and I can make those decisions if I want to play for those things. But like just to know that I'm out of it is like this kind of releasing feeling of like, oh, I can go do whatever else I want to. And for me personally, that's how I've enjoyed it. Doing regionals for other games and bigger events for other games, it's like I'm out. I'm just gonna go, walk around and like go try out a really nice restaurant or something, which I can't really seem to do in two game format because I've seen people where they've dropped and it was like, oh, if you got two more 2-0s, you'd have made day two, and your mate's just done really bad maths on a calculator for this, from an AI calculator for this event. So yeah, I just find the uncertainty, the formality. This is, yeah, my last standing points in the two game format. Again, love Lorcana, just really wish they did best of three. I think, yeah, the uncertainty of each round, not knowing if I was gonna like, if I'm doing the right thing, if I'm winning, if I'm losing, because I've got a 2-0 and then some splits. The uncertainty is very rough. The it's kind of the evaluation feeling of it feels very awful. That it feels like I'm not playing the game. It feels like I'm doing an evaluation to try and make it to day two. The fact that just most people locally play best of three, they mostly understand best of three, and there are a lot of players who know the kind of little tips and tricks that day two has with certain decks performing better in day two in two game format. Just overall, the experience just isn't for me really. I'm still going to be playing it. This is probably like, unless I'm asked about it and provoked to have another opinion on it, probably not saying much more about two game format because I can have this video on my channel. So if Ravensburger, who I know very much like to listen to feedback, see it, they can just watch it and go, great, that's what this person thinks about it. We don't care about that blue steel guy. But yeah, it's going to be out there. So yeah, if anyone else has any opinions on two game format, if you like it as well, like again, I'm not trying to start I'm happy to start a discussion. I'm not trying to just start like any sort of flame war. I don't know what they call it these days, like a internet flame war or something like that. I'm just saying my opinion is we could do without the format, and I think the community in general would just prefer playing best of three. Or myself, I just prefer playing best of three when I'm traveling to these regionals.